Hi, I'm Joanna Caldwell at Otter Creek Yoga in Middlebury, Vermont. We are making these yoga videos so that we can all practice social distancing and stay safe at home. Today, we're going to start, like we've been starting all of these videos, with one of the Yoga Sutras. And we are going right through from the beginning. We first did Atta Yoga Nusasanam, which means now the teachings of yoga are presented. Then the next video, we did Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha, in which Patanjali defines yoga as the practice of stilling the consciousness, of quieting the disturbances of the mind. Today's sutra, which is Sutra 1.3, is one of my very favorite yoga sutras. And in this sutra, Patanjali says what happens when we still the disturbances of the mind. Tada drashtu swarupe vastanam. Then the seer, or the one who is practicing, dwells in their own true splendor. Another way that I think about this sutra is then, when we still the mind, when we quiet ourselves, we understand who we really are. So at the deepest level, which is way beneath all of the things on the surface, like how we appear, our profession, our personality, our thoughts, our beliefs, our anxieties, our good qualities, our difficult qualities. Underneath all of that is this very quiet, vast, luminous self. And it's to discover that vastness inside, that luminosity. That's the reason we practice yoga. So that is today's sutra. Tadadrashtu Swarupe Vastanam. Let's chant it together. What we're going to do is bring our hands together, and we're going to make the sound of Om one time. And then I'll chant that sutra so you can hear it. And then please chant it with me. We'll do 3 more times. And again, I apologize for my slightly creaky voice today. Drown me out, please, at home with your beautiful chanting. Let's chant a big breath and a big Om. Om. Tadadrashtu Swarupe Vastanam. Now you chant with me. Tadadrashtu Swarupe Vastanam. Tadadrashtu Swarupe Vastanam. Tadadrashtu Swarupe Vastanam. Hari Om. With an exhalation, bow the head down. Release the hands down. And with your inhale, lift your head softly, open the eyes. Okay. So after the Yoga Sutra, the gift of the Yoga Sutra, we're going to do what I'm calling the awesome gift. The awesome gift is a physical, tangible gift. And this is because we are getting some really awesome comments and suggestions and questions from people that are watching these videos. And in order to encourage you to keep those comments coming and suggestions for what you might like to see on future videos, and this could be a suggestion of a yoga pose you'd like me to teach, or a yoga philosophy, or anything you would like me to address. We're going to pick one lucky winner out of everyone who comments, and I'm going to send you an awesome gift in the mail. So there's a different gift that goes with each video, and today the awesome gift is tea. People who practice here at Otter Creek Yoga regularly know that we always have herbal tea at the end of class. I have a lot of fun coming up with new tea blends, and today the awesome gift is a tea blend mailed to you. However, the awesome gift today is also for everyone, because I'm going to take a few minutes before we start the asana practice and show you how to make this tea. I have all the ingredients here, and I'm going to give you a tea lesson. Anybody who just wants to do yoga and isn't interested in a tea lesson, just scroll ahead about 3 minutes and we'll get right to the yoga practice. So I really like to make my tea in mason jars, and what I do is I've got freshly boiled water right here. I just washed my hands, and here I have some different herbs. This is hibiscus, organic hibiscus flowers, and I'm going to put what would you say? That is about a heaping tablespoon in each of these jars. You don't want to use too much of this. It's got a pretty strong flavor, so don't overdo it, but that's about right. I'm not a big measurer. I just kind of do it by eye. These are rose hips, organic rose hips, cut and sifted. You can get these at any natural food store in the bulk section. Shout out to the Middlebury Natural Foods Co-op. So I'm going to put 2 scoops in each of these jars of the rose hips. Next we have orange peel, a really great source of bioflavonoids. Again, I'm just putting 2 scoops. You could just put a small handful. Herbal tea is very forgiving. You can't really mess up here. Okay, now freshly boiled water. Just pour it right on top. And the reason that I'm doing this before we get to the asana practice is because I'm going to let this steep while we're doing the yoga poses, and then after our practice, Tayler and I will have some tea to drink. This is the really special ingredient that I'm not going to be able to include when I mail whoever wins the tea blend, but all this is strawberries. These were frozen strawberries. I put them in a jar about this size. I poured some boiling water over them to defrost them, and I used a handheld immersion blender to make this strawberry puree. You can do this without the strawberry puree, but this makes it extra wonderful. Actually, I just decided something. I'm going to add this after it steeps, because this is cold, and I'm going to let this steep hot. So I'm going to just cover them and let it steep. After we do our practice, I'm going to add some strawberry puree and some honey, and then I'm going to use my strainer to strain it out. That's the tea lesson. Okay, we're going to get started with our asana practice, and Tayler is going to begin in a lying down position, so you can bring your feet toward the front of the mat and just get yourself super even. So we're practicing Supta Tadasana here, lying down mountain pose, and Tayler will reach her heels forward. And just to be clear, people at home, you do whatever Tayler does. And if my verbal instructions are ever unclear to you, just look and see what Tayler's doing. Okay, so everyone reach your heels forward very strongly, and then we're going to hug the right knee in toward the chest. That's good. And then Tayler's going to take this belt around her right foot. This is Supta Padangustasana, one leg stretching up. That's good. Okay, now, again, if you are at home and you don't have a yoga belt, you can use the belt from your bathrobe. But if you do have a yoga belt, I'm going to actually go ahead and just keep reaching your foot up, Tayler. I'm going to make a little loop in this belt, which you can do if you have a yoga belt. If you're using a bathrobe belt, you could also just improvise, make a little loop, because we're going to practice a version of this pose where you have just a small loop on your foot, and Tayler's going to hold on to the belt with both hands. She's going to walk her hands up toward her foot, and then keep your leg like that and keep your arms straight and slide your hands on the belt until you're reaching your arms toward the wall behind you. Yeah, so everyone at home, when you're doing this, you feel that you are pressing your down heel, the one that's on the floor, you're pressing it forward as you pull back on the belt. And you see if you can feel the length on both sides of the waist, and you see if you can feel the length from the top of the head to the tailbone. And then you work, as Tayler's showing here, you work to get your right leg just as straight as you can, so you're really opening up the back of the knee. Beautiful. Now let's bend that knee and pull it in toward your chest again. Yeah, you can let go of the belt and just use your arms. Beautiful. So here, whenever you're doing this position, you'll notice that the exhalation is very thorough. And again, this is calming to our nervous system. And to come back to our sutra, Tadadrashtu Swarupe Vastanam, that when we quiet the mind, we dwell in our own true splendor. So now, Tayler, go ahead and bend that. You can take the belt off, you can bend the other knee, and spend a few breaths with that left leg hugging in. So again, when you come to this position, you work to enjoy a very thorough exhale, letting that out breath all the way out. Now go ahead and take that small loop of belt onto your left foot, and we'll take a few breaths. She'll just stretch her leg up. So you can start with your hands climbing up toward your foot. Yeah, perfect. And here you work. I just want to show people who have tight hamstrings. Tayler's going to pretend she has tight hamstrings for a moment and take the leg a lot lower. That's right. So that's how it looks if you're tight in the backs of the legs, and you'll get a wonderful stretch. And my teacher in California, Tony Briggs, hi Tony if you're watching, he taught me that this just means you have a shorter commute to work. If you have more open hamstrings like Tayler does, she just has to go further to get to her job. So you go ahead and take your leg higher now. So this is her pose. And everybody, when you're working with these postures, you want to find your perfect commute. So you want to be working where you feel sensation, but you're not straining. Go ahead and slide your hands on the belt now so that you're reaching your arms overhead. So you see as she does this, all of the limbs are straight. She's pulling strongly on the belt and pressing equal and opposite action to reach the leg that's down, to reach that heel forward, and to move the top of the down leg down toward the floor as best you can. So I'm just going to show this here. We'll all have a little tunnel under this leg here, and you want to try to close that tunnel as best you can by pressing the top of the thigh down, and that is not easy. Now you relax your throat, you relax your jaw. Everyone at home, check in with the whole facial area, see that it's soft. Beautiful. Now she's going to bend her knee, and you can take the belt off, everybody, and you can spend a few breaths simply hugging your knee close to your chest, and again, finding a really soft, relaxed face, soft, relaxed throat, and observe the breath so you know when you're inhaling, you know when you're exhaling. You notice how when you're exhaling, that breath can go all the way out. Very nice. Okay, now Tayler's going to come back, and everybody at home, you come back to Supta Tadasana, lying down, mountain pose, reaching both heels forward,
So I'm standing up here in mountain pose, reaching my heels into the floor, and Tayler's demonstrating the very same pose lying down. And it's really nice if anybody is recovering from being sick or extra tired, you can do all of these postures on the floor. So now we're going to do one more pose with the right leg going up. And what's a little bit different with this one, we're not going to use the belt, we're going to use a block. So Tayler's going to reach for this block. That's right, and you're going to put your hands on the sides of it. Very good. Okay, so I just want to show one thing. If you're stiff in your shoulders or you have a rotator cuff injury or anything like that, we're going to demonstrate a way to do it. Can you just lift that block up a few inches? Okay, so this would be a way that you can work, and you can build that up as needed. She doesn't need it, so I'm going to take it away. And you can go back down. Good. Now take your right leg up like we did before. So there's no belt, but and what we're doing here that's a little different is trying to get to a vertical leg if you can manage it. And she can. So this is a lying down version of the pose Virabhadrasana 3, which we're hopefully going to get to near the end of our practice. Okay, good. So now go ahead and bend your knees, both knees, put the feet flat on the floor, and bring your arms down. So you'll just take a little rest with your arms by your sides and observe the breath. Very good. And then let's stretch the arms back to the block and reach like you're pushing the block away from your head. And then we're going to stretch the right foot forward and take the left leg up. So she's doing the same pose on the second side. And everybody at home, you want to see if you can get all of your limbs nice and straight. You want to reach the two heels. And anytime your arms are overhead, there's a bit of a tendency to harden the throat and the jaw. So we always, anytime we stretch our arms up, we want to try to soften that throat, soften that jaw. Beautiful. And then go ahead and come down, have a rest, bring your arms to your sides, observe the breath. Imagine, all of you, imagine you're breathing in along the spine toward the tailbone. Nice, smooth breath. Okay, now Tayler's going to roll to her side, and everybody can roll to their side and sit up and come all the way up. Okay, and come on up to standing. So we're going to now demonstrate a couple of different versions of the pose Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward dog, and the chair. This is the first version we're going to show. She's going to take a hold of the front corners of the chair. And I'm just going to hold this because we're not working with a wall here, but people at home, put your chair against the wall so it can't go anywhere. Go ahead and now step your feet back. And just like you're doing downward dog, except for you have this chair. And I'm just holding it in place. I would say even go a little further back. Yeah, so everyone take your feet a hip width apart and take the tops of the thighs back. Really nice. And here, one thing that Tayler is showing very nicely, and everyone can do at home, is have your ears in between your upper arms. So that's a really nice position for the head and neck. And then as she takes her outer thighs back, tops of the thighs back, outer hips back, you're creating length from the tailbone to the skull, which is a basic principle that we're looking for in every single posture. Okay, really nice. So now I'm gonna have you walk toward the chair. Stop there, separate your feet a little more. Good, so here, this is a nice concave Uttanasana. People who are stiff in the backs of the legs, the chair is such a wonderful way to work. Now, Tayler's gonna bend her elbows and bring her head down. Let's see, yeah, come a little closer to the chair. And then see if that feels nice. Okay, so a couple different ways to work here. Go a tiny bit closer to the chair with your feet. Okay, so she's able to keep her legs straight, and reach her head to the chair. That doesn't work for everybody, especially if you're stiff in the backs of the legs. So one thing that you can do is add a little height to the chair. Another thing that you can do is separate your feet. She could take her feet all the way to the width of the mat, and she could even go off the mat if she needed. Now, Tayler doesn't need any of this because she's quite open in the backs of the legs, so I'm gonna have her come up. Just wanted to show that. And then what we're gonna do is take the chair away. I'm gonna take it away. Yeah, and I'm gonna give you that instead. Okay, so go ahead and touch the block. Okay, yeah, so here, this is concave Uttanasana. Go ahead and lift your head a little more. Come on your fingertips. Very nice. And you see a lot of length in the side of the body. I'm trying to maintain 6 feet away from her. It's so hard. We're trying to display good social distancing. So taking her chest forward, she pulls up strongly on the legs, and you see those legs are super active. Take a deep breath in. When you exhale, bend your elbows and take the crown of the head down. Very good. And Tayler, you can even touch the floor here with your hands. Good. And then everybody at home, and Tayler is showing this too, a typical thing that happens when you go down is that you lean back a bit into your heels. So now I want you to see, can you bring the weight toward the fronts of the feet more? Beautiful. That's right. One more little bit like that. Hips forward, good. Now stretch your heels into the floor and pull up on your shins at the same time. Really good. Take the crown of your head down. Let your head hang like it's a ripe fruit, an apple hanging in a tree. Yeah, good. And then you're gonna inhale and lift your chest and look forward. Very good. And then you're gonna take your hands on your hips and stand all the way up. Beautiful. And then let's just stand for a moment in Tadasana. So now we'll bring the weight back a little into the heels. So nice. And then see if you can find the sense here that the back of your skull moves just slightly back. And when you do that, you're lining up your skull and your pelvis and your heels. And it's a really healthy action for the spine, and a really healthy action also for the nervous system. So let's all take a nice, deep, full breath in, and then a nice, full exhalation, letting that out breath go all the way out. Okay, so we just practiced Uttanasana both with the chair and with a block. And we're gonna do the next little sequence the same way. First, we're gonna show it with the chair, and then we're gonna show it with the block. And this is just some lunging to open up the legs. We're gonna bring that chair back. I'm gonna go get the other block for later. And then Tayler's going to hold the chair again, just like she did for downward dog. And I'm gonna brace it since we're not using a wall here. She's gonna bring her right foot very close to the chair, even under the chair is fine. She's gonna step her left foot way back. So people at home, yeah, now bend your front knee and take the back heel up. Yeah, lift the back heel, like a runner's lunge, and wiggle it back even more. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Oh, I'm too close to you. Here we go. Okay, so that's good. So what we're looking for here is the sense that we're bringing the two thighs apart. So as she bends her front knee, she's bringing that inner right groin forward, and she's bringing the back inner groin back. So it's this taking your inner thighs away from each other. That's good. You can challenge yourself to bring that front thigh deeper toward the floor, and you can challenge yourself to wiggle the back foot further back. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Yeah, the heel can really be up. That's right. And then just like we did in downward dog and Uttanasana, opening up the back of that straight leg. So the back leg, you lift the shin up. Good. And you lift the chest and you smile. Nice. Okay, let's switch legs. Let's switch legs. Yeah, so now it's left foot nice and close to the chair. And wiggle that back foot back. And you can challenge yourself when you're doing these lunges to really use a lot of your mat. Yeah. And then front foot, we're going to press the outer heel down to slightly take the knee out. That's right. good. And then reaching back into the back leg, you lift your shin away from the floor. This looks good. Looks good. You lift the shin up so the back leg's nice and straight. You're really opening up the knee. Beautiful. Okay, now do you think we've done equal amount in both sides? More or less? Good enough. Okay, we're gonna step that back foot forward. Okay, and then we're gonna take the chair away and we're gonna show the lunge with blocks. So she's gonna have, which foot did we start with? I don't remember. Okay, good. So she's taking the left leg back. And here, everybody look for, good, that was a great adjustment, getting that ankle right under the knee, a nice upright shin. So we are going to be working on the Virabhadrasana poses, so the warrior poses. And one of the things you can observe is that that front shin is, nicely in that position. You could actually pull slightly back with your outer hip of the front leg. Pull it back a little bit. Nice, yes, good. So if you're stiff and you want to continue working with the chair like she showed before, you can do that. If you want to try it like this on the blocks. And also maybe everybody try coming on the fingertips and just see what that feels like. Okay, now we're going to go for the second side. So we'll bring the left foot forward and the right foot back. Yeah. So this is nothing fancy. It's just a lunge, like a runner's lunge, but you can refine it. And again, Tayler, if you pull your left hip slightly back, it's going to bring your knee back a little bit. There you go. Really nice. And then lift. Everybody lift the shin of the back leg strongly away from the floor so you open up the back of that knee. Very good. Observe the breath. If there's hardness in the throat or the jaw, soften it. Very good. And then let's see how it feels to do downward dog with your hands on these blocks. So earlier she did a downward dog with her hands on the chair, and now with the blocks. And then I'll brace them for you. Yeah, okay, go ahead. Yeah, and go back a little bit more with your feet. Okay, good. And then from here, everybody, you take the tops of the thighs back, you pull your outer hips back, and you feel that length from the skull to the tailbone. Very nice. And now you get to rest. So you're going to come down. Go ahead and put your hands gently on the floor, one at a time. Yeah. And bend your knees. Bend your knees. Good. And have a rest. Oh, you were working hard. Yeah. And you can separate your knees. And here you feel that length. You feel that length from the skull to the tailbone. And you sit back. And people at home, I'm just going to show one thing. If you have any kind of issue in the knee, let's have you lift your hips up for a moment, Tayler. You can put something like that. And I want you to, if you don't have one of these yoga bolsters at home, be creative. Get a cushion off your couch. Most of us have something at home that would work just fine for this. Okay. And then I'm going to show one more adjustment. And if you don't have yoga props like blocks, you can use books at home. But it's awfully nice to do this with some support under your head. So this is, if you have a stiffer body, this is a really nice way to practice Adho Mukha Virasana right here. Take just a couple more really full, deep breaths in and out. And then I'm going to take this bolster away so you can lift your hips up, Tayler, and you can come back to stand. How do you feel? Everybody take your hands on your hips, and we're going to put that right foot right into the midline, and then take a big step back with the left leg, and you adjust that back foot so that you can get the heel down. Look at the front leg and see if you can get your front shin straight up and down, a vertical shin, and you take a big distance between your 2 feet. You can use your hands here to help encourage the left hip to roll forward as you draw the right hip back, and then give a good lift up the sides of the waist. Back leg, make it nice and straight by lifting the shin bone up, opening up the back knee, and then challenge yourself to move the front thigh a little deeper into the pose. Lifting up the sides of the waist, lift your chest. Mr. Iyengar said every pose should contain Tadasana and Shavasana. So we're looking for the steadiness and evenness of Tadasana and the peaceful, relaxed face of Shavasana. Now straighten the front leg, turn the feet parallel, and bring the feet together gently, and then come back to the front of the mat, and we'll do the second side. We're going to step the left foot forward now, and then take a big step back with the right leg. See if you can find that good angle of the back foot. That's going to let you roll your right hip forward. Use your hands again to draw the left hip, that's the front leg hip, back, and roll the back leg hip, your right hip forward. And so you're turning your hips as best you can toward the front of your mat. In this pose, you can't get your hips perfectly square to the front of the mat, but you do your best that you can, and then you see if you can square your shoulders toward the front of the mat. And then by drawing the elbows back, you broaden the chest and go on lifting up the sides of the waist here. Find that nice peaceful face of Shavasana, and up you come. Turn the feet parallel and step the feet together, and then come back to the front of the mat. Stand in Tadasana now. Stretch the fingertips down, lift up through the crown of the head. Now we're going to repeat the pose, and we're going to do the full pose with the arms up. So we're going to start the same way, step the left foot way back, find that vertical right shin again, and turn that left hip forward as best you can. So you're bringing the two groins away from each other, taking the left groin back and the right leg forward, the right groin forward as you bend that knee as best you can. Keep the legs as they are, and we're going to stretch the arms up, shoot the arms up toward the ceiling. Very nice. You use the lift of the arms to lift the sides of the rib cage higher and higher as you sit down into the front leg. Straighten the back leg, reach up to come up, turn the feet parallel, and bring the feet together. One more side, you come back to the front of the mat. We're going to bring this time the left foot forward and a big step back with the right leg. Find the position of the legs first. Use your hands again to turn that right hip forward as best you can. Use your left hand to pull that outer left hip back and lift up the sides of the waist. Keep that good position of the legs. Bring the two groins away from each other again, and then keeping that nice straight back leg, shoot the arms up toward the ceiling and lift up. Lift the arms to lift the chest. Reach down into the back heel and soften the throat, soften the jaw, soften the eyes. Reach down into the back heel to stand up, turn the feet parallel. Bring your feet in and jump your feet together. Now we'll do a resting Uttanasana, separating the feet hip distance. Raise the arms up, catch the elbows, and hang down. With an exhalation, you release your spine down. Let the weight of your head hang down. Earlier we showed this version with a chair, and this is another version where you put your hands on the wall and you step back. So this is good for people that are stiff in the backs of the legs. Taking your tailbone away from the skull, you lengthen the spine. Now Tayler's going to come over here to the wall and come into that position. We're going to work on one more standing posture variation of Virabhadrasana 3. She's going to start by bringing her hands to the wall, shoulder width apart. So the fingers point up. She steps her feet back. We're looking for the shape of an upside down capital L. Bring your hands a little lower. That's right. This looks like a nice position here. It's a great idea to look at your hands for a moment and see that they're even and level. Yoga is to see and adjust, see and adjust, see and adjust. Just like we're all adjusting to this new way of being right now, social distancing. We have to see and adjust every day. This is part of our self-care. That thing I did yesterday didn't work so well, so I'm going to make an adjustment and do things a little bit differently today. It's different when you don't have your usual daily routines. You have to find a new way. See and adjust, see and adjust. Now we're going to come into this variation of Virabhadrasana 3. Tayler's going to bring her right foot into the midline, and then she's going to take her left leg up. She reaches back. We work to level the hips. There's a tendency for that up leg, for that hip to roll up, so she has to work really hard to level her hips. She presses her hands into the wall. She takes her heel away from her hands. Final stage of the pose is she's going to bring the pelvis away from the wall until she's only touching with her fingertips. Beautiful. See if she can lengthen, 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 reaching the heel away from the skull. Step down gently. Walk toward the wall. This is a nice way to rest. She's going to just rest her forehead right on the wall. This is a nice, peaceful way to take a little rest. Set yourself up for the second side. Hands shoulder width apart. She finds the upside down capital L. She pulls the pelvis away from the wall. Now she's going to bring her left foot into the midline. She's not drooping her head down. She's keeping her ears right in between her upper arms, which is perfect. And she brings the pelvis away from the wall. Now she's going to bring that left foot into the midline, and she's going to take the right leg up. And she reaches through that heel. Strong reach through the heel. She works to level the hips. Absolute best that you can. It helps if you go to the outer hip of the standing leg and pull up, and then reaching back into that right heel. Reach your hands into the wall. Pull the pelvis back so you're only on your fingertips. Elongate the spine. Don't lose the height of the back leg. Keep reaching. Step down gently and go back to the wall and rest your forehead on the wall. Make your feet even. Everyone feel that distance from the crown of the head down to the tailbone. Feel that wonderful length of the spine. Happy news, it's time to lie down for Shavasana. If you don't have one of these fancy yoga chairs at home, just use a regular sturdy chair, which will go like that. The backwards chair is really nice if you have one of these yoga chairs. So she's going to put her calves up there. You want to get the pelvis centered on the mat. See that everything's even. She's going to center her shoulders to get even on her mat. And then you're going to take glasses off. If when you lie back, you have to be sensitive to the position of the skull. If you feel when you lie back that your chin is sticking up, then you want to take a folded blanket under your head to support the head. She doesn't need that. Use your hands to go to the top of the buttock and scoop that buttock flesh toward the chair to bring length to the lower back. And that should help your low back feel really peaceful and nice. Take your arms out from the body like Tayler's showing, and you turn the palms up. Spiritually, that creates a gesture of receiving. And physically, it creates this widening across the chest. The rotation at the top of the arm broadens the chest, and then she can fill the chest with some soft, gentle, easy breaths. And now you're invited, people at home, to pause the video and take some time. Take 10 minutes if you have that much time to give yourself that beautiful, peaceful rest in Shavasana. If you don't have that much time, take a shorter Shavasana. Now we're going to come out of Shavasana first by taking a deep, penetrating breath in. And then with an exhale, bring the feet to the edge of the chair. And you'll stay in that position for a few easy breaths. Coming back to the sutra that we started with in this practice, Tadadrashtu Swarupe Vastanam. Then the seer dwells in their true splendor. So when you come out of Shavasana, you can observe, do you feel connected to that luminous self that is the true splendor? This is the self that we spell with the capital S, or what the yogis call the Purusha, the light of the soul. And sometimes we touch it very fleetingly, like a little taste of it. Sometimes we feel like we're just absolutely suffused with it, with that sense of our own luminous self. Roll to your side with your exhale. Pull your knees up toward your chest to bring length to the lower back. Just be there. Be with the effects of your practice. Tadadrashtu Swarupe Vastanam. Then the seer dwells in their own true splendor. Then we're going to very gently press the hands into the floor to sit up. And we'll say Namaste. Namaste. Thank you for practicing with us. Take care of yourself. Take care of one another. See you soon.
Tea time. Taylor, you want to come have tea? Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.